Okay, people, the voice of God is here. Let me show you something about what this is because it's like me personally, I have been living in sin and I've been doing the same thing over and over again. I've been looking at myself and saying, will I ever make it to heaven? This is something that I've done recently that is so mind blowing to God because He say, how in the world can I hear from Him anytime I willpower and an audible voice, but still do this same type of sin? Now, one thing that I need to do is I need to go on a spiritual fast today. I need to fast and spend time with God. I need to correct myself from doing this sin that God has been making with the devil. God has been making some type of bet with the devil in order to do me in because God is hurtful toward sinful habit. God is hurtful toward sinful habit. God is hurtful toward sinful habit. Now, this is something that I looked at and what I looked at in my research of what this is, because this is something that is on the mindset of what the ability is. It's like the thing about this is with God, He's saying that me as Matthew, one thing that I'm doing with me is to understand my own concept. I have to sit up there and chastise myself because how can I minister to somebody else about delivering them out of a sin, but I have not delivered myself out of a sin that made a stronghold on me? But at the same time, when I do is at times I will work out at the gym, and at times I would do some type of spiritual fasting. But at the same time, one thing about this is with me, lately have I been fasting enough? No, I have not. But one thing about this is with me, I must understand where I'm going through. So one thing about this is with me, I have to correct myself for what I'm supposed to be in so I can uplift somebody else. The only thing I've been doing lately is sinful. It's called a reprobation sin because God look at this and say, this is not masturbation, because masturbation is when a man basically uses his hand and stroke his dick. That's what that is, and that's masturbation. Also, masturbation for a woman is basically when a woman uses her finger nail and use her finger of a nail and then stroke her pussy hole. That's what that is. So one thing about this is with me, this type of sin that I have been doing is called reprobation sin. It's a sin where I use the book, take the book under the pillow, and then bang it. Now, why am I going through this? This is something that I have to do with me. I have to basically get in the element to basically fast from my life, to stop doing this same type of sin, because this sin is like a reprobation sin that can hold me back. But at the same time, one thing I know with me is that Jesus said this to me. He said this to me while I was at the Panera Bread. He said, Matthew, the thing about this is with you, brother, let's talk about this. Let's say if God was to judge you and at the same time, He would look at this and say, well, you have took the book and used the book under pillow so many times before you have basically died and basically met me in the heavenly courthouse. Me, Jesus, would be sitting up there, fighting for your case. I will be fighting for your case like God. So what? He has used the book and took the book unplugged and basically did himself so many times. But look at all this YouTube and preaching that he's done. Look at all the videos of all the content that he's put on YouTube with this camera footage. Now, Jesus really looked at me and said, here's the thing. He don't even care how many times I use the book and use the book under the pillow and do myself, because he said that I'm not perfect. He know that I had the erection in 2024, which is on a Monday. And at the same time, I didn't go to the hospital until basically 6 to 7 days later on. See, that's why God said that my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, because you can be senseless to things and senseless to things. What do I mean by that? You can know something, but you don't know the other side of it. But at the same time, when you think about it, let's say that I had the erection on a Monday. Do you understand? My dick got extremely hard. It got too much hard and it wouldn't go down. I was wondering as to why my dick wouldn't go down. So this is the thing about this is my mother took me to basically the eye doctor for my eyes to be checked out so I can get some basically new glasses. But was it really new glasses? Yes, it was. But at the same time, she just basically got my eyes checked out for it to be done with it for what it's supposed to be done in. But at the same time, this is what the settlement is. God looked at me and said, "How come you didn't tell your mother that your midsection will not go down? You need to go to the doctor." I didn't go to the doctor until that Sunday, and that Sunday was something that I looked at. So now, one thing about this is with me, one thing about this erection that I've had with myself is something that I'm doing with me. This erection with me is something that I have to go up against. I have to say, well, if I sit up there and think about this and this own element point and think about this erection that I had, then at this point, it does not justify me to keep doing this same type of sin. Now, God understand that at times I do want to have sex, but currently I have no wife. I have no significant other. I have nobody to be with. That's what it is. But see, I'm confessing my sin for the world to basically listen to it because I'm not perfect. Now, even though I do have the best relationship with God, and even though I do have a good relationship with Jesus, the thing about this is, how in the world can I have a better relationship with God than Jesus? And Jesus is the one that died on a hanging tree, that died on a cross for my sins and for all the sins that I've committed. Now, one thing about this is with me, I'm just saying, well, if I really analyze myself for what is supposed to be on, I'm just doing something different with me. So the thing about this is with me, people, understand this. Me as Matthew, I'm not perfect. I have flaws. I mean, at times I don't know everything, even though I am this basically too much smart. But at the same time, I'm not that smart. I'm just basically an average working, hardworking man. The thing about this is that, okay. The thing about this is with me, I work at True. I work at a rehabilitation program. I'm basically a video editor and a photo editor. And I do other different projects at True, which is I'm a graphic designer and I use Canva. And I also use Adobe Premiere and I use Lightroom. So these different elements that I use is basically saying I'm just an average working man and I don't have millions of dollars. I'm not like a rich, famous celebrity that got so much money, or I'm not like these other men that's involved in business that are not celebrities, but they got millions of dollars. Now God is showing me something different. He said the fact that I sit up there and obeyed him in this first segment of this, and I obeyed him the best way that I was supposed to obey him, he's basically showing me a sign that telling my life and telling my story is something that I'm building upon with. Now I have to sit up here and do myself in a different way. I have to basically say that these lineups are very different because I have to sit up there and be about for myself in. Now, the formation of this is saying that me as Matthew, I'm just setting into something. I'm setting into what I'm supposed to be in me. Now, God is really chastising non-on input. Non-on input. God is chastising non-on input. Where is God coming from in this element point? He's basically saying that the fact that I'm doing this and the fact that I'm basically letting go of not wanting to be a hip hop artist to perform on stage and rock at different concerts, but to do this and to go this weird direction that is so hard to go through. All because when I'm at home, I feel like I don't want to watch TV. I feel like I don't want to watch Medio tutorials reviews. This guy, this light-skinned man that sits up there and talks about different type of topics of women, of itself, and other different things. But at the same time, when I look at it and when I look at me, I'm basically analyzing myself and analyzing for what I'm supposed to stay in. Now, one thing about this is with me, I'm just living my life here on this earth so I can blow the time and so I can make it to heaven. Now, one thing about this is with me, one thing that God said, he said, what you can do in a situation like this, what you can do is you can go to the Panera Bread and we can have this meeting. And God said, get me some type of food for me to eat. Now he said, look, the thing about this is with you, what you can do is, so Matthew, understand this. Well, I will show you this. You can go to the Panera Bread today and get you basically a good input sandwich and basically a salad, a small solid. So